join Tom Thompson in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
From the sparkling blue waters of Lake Superior to the towering pines of Itasca to the rich, dark soil of Minnesota's heartland, we have been blessed with a natural heritage second to none. The Environmental Caucus will work to preserve and protect this natural heritage, our resources, so that our children and grandchildren and generations to come can enjoy the same quality of life that we in Minnesota do. We will do this by organizing, educating, motivating, and giving a voice to all DFLers who will join us and learn that the DFL is their natural home. We will support the DFL party platform and action agenda items related to energy, natural resources, and the environment. We will ask the difficult questions of our elected officials and our candidates for office related to environmental issues and look for solutions that balance the needs of people, planet, and profit. Will you join us? Will you be a voice for Minnesota's natural environment? Yeah. Thank you. And on behalf of the steering committee, I would like to welcome you all to today's meeting. The DFL seeks to end discrimination and bigotry in all its forms and to inspire broad participation in our party. As part of our commitment to outreach and inclusion, we will take affirmative steps to increase the participation of members of all underrepresented communities. When you vote today, remember this commitment includes electing members of underrepresented communities to positions both within the DFL party and in public office. And now, Lawrence, are you ready? He's going to give our credentials report.
Why don't you sing a few tunes while we're waiting?
Katie, dance for me.
If we have a moment, why don't we just go around the room and say our names?
I think that would be very nice, yes. And I bet people would love to see, if you don't mind just standing up and introducing yourself.
Rebecca's other half. I'm Joe Caucus, Vito's son. I am Alan Caucus.
Dexter Larson from Duluth.
Jerry Hall from Bloomington.
Carl Forsberg, Egan.
Ken Austin, Burnsville. John Wells, Egan.
Don Goldster, SD51, CD2, Egan.
Bill Caslow, Wilmington.
Gary Friedrichs, West St. Paul.
Theo Burnsville.
Deb Mathowitz, Egan, hopefully soon to be Moose Lake.
Andy Hilbrick, Ramsey.
Irish Hilbeck Ramsey. Andrew Hilbeck Ramsey.
Jan Marachek, Wamasha.
Peggy Clark, Minneapolis, 61.
Savage.
Marianne Van Hussey, Savage.
Grace Kelly, nickname Kelly, St. Paul.
Philip Adams, CD3, Plymouth, SC44.
Jackie Mobeck, SD 44 Plymouth.
Tom Lofgren, Lakeville.
Sarah Lofgren, Lakeville.
Marla Botts, Farmington. Jackie Craig, Lakeville.
Debbie Riggs, Lakeville.
Sarah Musgrave, Richfield.
Pat Tannen, Sedan.
Bob Hammond, Sudan.
Taylor Bachman, Fairwell.
Sandy Sandoval, Savage.
Jan Kerhayetz, Little River.
Tom Kerhayetz, Willow River, south of Moose Lake.
Ann Sturgeon, Ely. Tim Cross, Grimer Wright.
Peter Griffin, Georgia, and St. Paul.
Roxanne Haiti, Savage.
SG 56.
Al Shasta, Shakopee.
Sorensen, Bemidji, and more recently St. Louis Park.
Kelly Finucane, Roseville.
We have a few in the back,
Lawrence Sandoval, Savage.
Sally Burns, Eden Prairie, formerly Duluth. Lorraine Rosick, Northfield. Debbie Nelson.
CD2.
Debbie Nelson, Lakeville.
And who are those lovely ladies in the back?
Laura Caucus, Venus Caucus' daughter. Katie Cox, Venus' daughter.
And the steering committee.
Tom Thompson, Brimson, Norfolk, Duluth.
I'm Aaron Clems from Columbia Heights, CD5.
Kristen Larson from Pequon, but my husband is from too.
How that works.
Jules Goldskin, St. Louis Park.
And Lawrence, you ready? Thanks, everybody.
Great turnout.
Yeah. Popped.
So quickly, my name is Lawrence Sandoval. I am the interim treasurer. Our credentials report as of 1:10 p.m. is 65 dues-paying members or members who have waived. And we do have 13 waivers incidentally. So eligible members are 65 right now.
At this meeting.
Yeah, this
Awesome,
meeting.
thank you. Thank you, Lawrence. At this time, I would like to nominate the Honorable Jules Goldstein to chair this meeting. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we will now take a vote, a voice vote. All those in favor of Jules Goldstein to chair this meeting, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you, the ayes have it. Jules, you will now chair a meeting.
Good afternoon. I always like being in this room. 6 years ago, I was elected vice chair of the 5th Congressional District in this room, so it has fond memories, although there were times when they were not so fond. My credentials as far as the environment is that in 2002, I was the DFL endorsed candidate for Ramsey County Soil and Water Commission.
Yay!
I lost in the landslide.
Public service.
Well, today we are having an interesting situation. This is an organizing meeting, which means the organization does not exist until we say it exists, and I'm presuming by the number of people here that we want it to exist. But some of the things that are a little tricky is that we do not yet have a constitution. We're going to be adopting that a little later in the agenda. So some of the provisions that are in the proposed constitution don't apply to us for at least another 15 minutes. One of those is as far as who can vote here today. the Constitution says you have to have belonged for at least 10 days before the meeting. That doesn't apply today. If you signed in today, you're a member. So that question does not come up. I have in front of me a proposed agenda, but we're not going to adopt it quite yet. Because first I get to nominate some people to help me out today. And so I am going to appoint as Secretary Kristen Larson, as tellers Taylor Bachman and Ron Goldster, as Sergeant at Arms John Wells, I'm sorry, as a parliamentarian John Wells. Who's the Sergeant at Arms?
That was John.
I'm both.
Oh.
I don't know.
And as timer Debbie Nelson. Yes.
I have a question about the tellers. Did we not say that they would not be nominees? If there's some the tellers would not be nominees?
That is correct, and Taylor's on the list, so I've appointed one teller at this point. Ron, you're in, and if we have contested ones, we'll appoint another one. And the next item is going to be a report of the Rules Committee. Aaron?
Sure. So first of all, the steering committee appointed a rules subcommittee to put together the rules for this meeting. And first I want to recognize the folks who are on that committee. Many of them are in the room right now. Deb Bowling, Vita Konitz, Kristen Larson, Maureen Rovig, Lawrence Sandoval, and Sandy Sandoval, and I chaired that. And the process that we followed was we took a number of, we had an April meeting where we kind of got together for the first time to talk through a couple of the issues we're going to confront today. And then we met twice by phone and consulted with Jules and used the DFL Constitution, the DFL call, a sample set of operating unit rules, and our Constitution that we'll adopt in a moment as models to create a set of rules that are at the back table. So you should be able to pick those up for today. And there were some specific rules to the first meeting. As Jules mentioned a moment ago, we haven't officially organized this caucus yet. And so there are some provisions that are in the Constitution that wouldn't be practical, right? Namely that 10-day provision that he talked about. We want everybody who signed up today to be able to participate in the meeting. Right? So some of those rules that were in there were adopted specifically because of this situation that we're in. So that means here's a couple of features of the rules. There's, of course, more specifics than that, but I want to point out the ones that are most likely to come up as questions. One is that we've already talked about this. All members who are registered, paid, or waived can vote today. If we have a contested election, we'll be voting by majority with paper ballots. And we're going to elect all officers at this meeting, or all offices, but with one-year terms. I put that in quotation marks. And I'll explain why in a moment. For secretary, treasurer, outreach officer, and up to 8 at-large members elected to date. The reason why is our Constitution that we're about to adopt has a rotation in it. The idea being that you don't want to have every single person who's in leadership go off of leadership at the same time. You want to have continuity for those members. And so because of that, we are going to have odd and even year elections for half of the officers and half of the members at large of the executive committee. Because we're starting out, we want to allow that to occur next year. And so we have to have some terms that are 1 year. In other words, they basically are terms that started a year ago. No one knew about it. But they will end a year from now. And also, the provisions in the Constitution say that you have to wait till after the next meeting to have newly elected officers take office. That's not practical given the fact that we have no officers right now. So people who are elected today to leadership positions in the caucus will immediately take that office. And in fact, we'll have a short meeting for those folks right after this meeting is done at 4 o'clock today, or earlier to get our business done. Once we get to the election of officers, there was a nominations committee that you'll hear from in a moment. Tom Thompson chaired that. They took nominations and screen them only in the sense that are they eligible to be members and who's put their name forward. So they'll be automatically entered into nomination when we get to that point. But you can also nominate folks from the floor. So there will be an opportunity to nominate folks to every office from the floor. Anybody who's nominated to office that wants to run will have up to 2 minutes to use as they wish. if you want to do an interpretive dance, if you want to speak, if you want to have somebody else speak on your behalf, all of those things are legitimate. And if we have a contested chair election, there will be a 10-minute question and answer period for the chair. We'll vote after speeches by paper ballot, and if there is no majority winner, if we had like 3 candidates that all ran and they all got 33% of the vote, that would be a terrible thing, actually. It's not. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But if there's no majority winner, we'd have a second ballot, which you'd have a majority vote in a runoff.
And I believe if after the second it's a tie, we'll flip a coin.
Yes, that's right. We'll choose by lot in some fashion. So that's the Rules Committee report. I guess at this point, I'm going to say, are there any questions? I'm happy to address those questions before we move to adopt the rules. Is that okay?
No, actually, we'll do that. But
Please.
We've had a committee report. The committee is recommending an agenda and rules. The agenda is in front of you, although it is good. I'm going to suggest that it be slightly amended. Just because we've already had the report of rules, which is item 9, but we have not yet adopted the rules, which is number 8, I'm going to suggest we reverse the order of those two. I'm also going to suggest, since this organization does need to adopt a constitution somewhere along the line, so we can exist, that item being an adoption of a constitution be inserted between item 11 and item 12. So before you now is the agenda, will someone move the amendments that I just suggested, because I don't have a vote here?
I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll bring it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one's opposed. We have an agenda. And now reading that agenda, I see the next item is adoption of rules by the membership. The rules is also on a handout. Looks like this, with one column. You should have picked up when you registered. Coming from the committee, so the motion, because it came from a committee, it has already been made. It doesn't have to be made and seconded. Is there any discussion of the proposed rules? Seeing none, I will bring it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, the rules are adopted. We have adopted rules. So we're already up to item 11 on the agenda. And since there's only 14, we're more than half done. Okay, then the next item on the agenda is report of interim committee chairs and officers. So and the first of those is outreach and arrangements. So, Vera?
I would like to thank the outreach committee members, Tom Kerhijits, Ron Bolzer, Terry Friedrichs, Tina Kraus, Peter Borglund, Kristen Larson, Sally Burns, Debbie Nelson, Cindy Leinefelter, Carl Forsberg, and Phil Adams. As outreach committee, we developed in conjunction with communications a letter that was sent out to all the constituency caucuses and to outreach officers from the different CDs. And we also delivered presentations at many different Senate districts and congressional districts to tell about the caucus and try to get people involved. And seeing you all here, I think it worked. It's great. We also worked with CD2's Outreach and Inclusion Officer, Terry Friedrichs, to present a forum on climate change in Burnsville. And that is hopefully going to be used as a model for future forums. So we're very excited about the work of the Outreach Committee, and thank everyone involved. Arrangements has been kind of ad hoc, but there has been many wonderful people that have helped set up and clean up and make sure that we have all the arrangements needed for this meeting as well as the planning meeting that we had. And you'll see their names there: Debbie Nelson, Sally Burns, Jennifer Clems, Erin Clems, Kristen Larson, Tom Thompson, Lorraine Rovig, Tina Kraus, who gets the reward for traveling the furthest, by the way, Ann Euling, Al Conitz, Joe Conitz, Terry Huell, Peter Berglund, and myself. So thank you very much. Next, we have the communications report for Kristen Larson.
Hi, it was fun listening to everyone say their names because I just got done working on the little directory that we have, and so I've been thinking about your names. We have a total of 101 people signed up, 101 Twitter followers. I don't know what the overlap is. We've got Facebook with 137 and Google Group with 137. And what our efforts on the committee have been to tie in communication among members from leadership, and hopefully what we'll be doing is reaching out into the community and to our leaders. The people that have been helping me are Ann Euling, if you could stand. Again, there's Ann. Peter Björklund, Tom Kerhyatt, Vida, Aaron, Philip Adams, Kate Doherty, Richard Watson, John Wells, and Grace Kelly just volunteered. So it's quite a team to be able to look to for help. Thanks, everybody.
Next up is treasury report. Doris?
Hello, my name is Lawrence Sandoval, interim chair of the Environmental Caucus. In front of you is our report starting. Treasurer, what did I say, Chair?
I knew there was going to be something on it.
Nominating myself.
He's good.
This is what is known as an attempted coup.
So anyway, interim treasurer. The review period is essentially April 15th all the way through yesterday. The reason for that period is I took office on the 15th of April, and so the only information I have is what's in front of you. Our income has been essentially from dues paid by membership for a total of $810. We did pass to have our steering committee meeting a couple of weeks ago. We raised $7.57 for a total of $817.57. So yes, there's more money coming in. Our expenses have been minimal for the most part. We did have some office supplies that we reimbursed for $74.03. We did have a deposit on this building for $20. And then we did purchase food items for the steering committee meeting for a total of $65.59. So our expenses come out to $159.62. So after all our expenses, our income, we have an existing total of $657.95. We do have, well actually we don't have an account of income. Our assets are all controlled by the DFL. So anytime you pay your dues into us, we actually forward them to the DFL. They maintain that record. If there are any expenses, we do forward our expenses to them, and they reimburse the person that incurred that expense. So that's my report.
Lawrence, you have a question?
Yes.
Questions?
I'd like Rebecca to check this out, please. Rebecca Otto.
Oh.
Good.
Is it good enough?
Well, let me spend a little bit of time with it. I would say, actually, it's a very nice report, and it even says respectfully submitted, Lawrence Sandoval, interim treasurer.
Yeah.
So that's it's very professional.
That's why I voted for Rebecca.
Our next report is the nominations report. Although the nominations report is going to consist of telling what is done, we're not going to go from there right into elections because according to our agenda, we have a 15-minute break before we can do that. Tom?
Behind you. Sneaking up. Yes, my name is Tom Thompson, and the members of the nomination committee have been meeting over a 2 or 3 week period of time, and their their names? Yes, they're not up there. And I'm going to have, to me, I want to recognize them because we kind of met. Nobody else heard what we were doing much. So would we go around the room and one at a time? Terrence, would you stand up and say who you are and then just names? Gary Weaver. Ann? Okay. Gwen? Sandy?
I'm Sandy Sandoval.
And Jan, I saw you come in. Great. Now, some of these people I haven't seen yet till today, so it's great because you can see by looking at that we stretch out from Brimson and Ely all the way down to Wabasha, so we were meeting on the phone a lot. And we did some outreach. First, we sent out a call to nominations that all of you got, if you were members at the time, of course, starting with April 16th with the deadline the 25th. We didn't feel like we had enough people, so we extended that period to May 3rd, and we got a few more people. There's a nominations form that included the DFL non-discrimination statement, the affirmative action statement, and a description of the offices that was taken from the Constitution, so people would know what these were. I think I need to move this. That's what I just basically read to you. So I'll go to the next one. We had criteria when we were looking, when these nominations came in, there were a few questions asked, and we looked these over to determine whether the nominations that came in were qualified or not. We looked at a desire to development of the environmental caucus, a desire to advocate for the environment, and having an environmentally friendly background. So these were things we looked at. All the nominations that came in, which I think anybody here would meet these criteria, were accepted and considered to be qualified. This is the non-discrimination statement that went along, and did you do this one or the other one?
The other one.
Okay. And we've included this one, and I'll get to it in a minute, because there is a list there of many of the underserved, diverse groups that the DFL recognizes. And this is what Vita read to you earlier. And this is the list, because we have an extensive list of diverse groups that we recognize in the DFL. And it is, I like it. You can read it on your own, I think. It always, I get a kick out of that spell check always kicks out affectional for some reason. None of my spell checks want to admit that there is an affectional orientation. But I think that is a good group. Age is one that seems to be prevalent in this group. Anyway, that was, when you consider nominating people later, I hope you consider these groups and try to make sure that we are have some representation from as many groups as we possibly can. Okay, now we need a drum roll. Here are some of the nominations for this year. For chair, at this point, we have Kristen Larson is nominated, Aaron Clems, and Vita Knitz. Can I say that right?
No, that's okay.
Okay, you're a teacher. You can get me later after class. Oh, I got to say it again. That's what I want to say.
All right, I killed Tom's name too.
All right, for vice chair, we have Vita Connitz and Andy Hillebrecht. And I think everybody knows most of these people, but I don't know about Andy. Andy, are you here?
We'll deal with his candidates.
Okay, even for recognizing who they are. Okay, great. Secretary, Kristen Larson, and treasurer, Lawrence Sandoval. And there were no nominations received for outreach, inclusion, and affirmative action officer, which